What's going on, everybody? Isaac here with Civil Engineering Academy. I'm excited to share with you a interview I did with a previous student of the Ultimate Civil FE Review course presented by Civil Engineering Academy. He's also a member of the Ultimate Civil PE Review course as he's preparing for the PE. And I just wanted to have a fun interview with Sean Aldridge today, talk about his experience and his journey taking the FE. Also a little bit how he's preparing for the PE now, but really how he found Civil Engineering Academy and our courses and how they helped prepare him for this major exam. He was a repeat taker. This is in fact his third time taking it. He has many friends that are taking it 3 or 4 times, which seems to be maybe the average to take this exam 2+ times. So definitely don't feel discouraged. And this is something that you can definitely do. He's got kids, he's got a full-time job, he's super busy, and he found a way to do this. And, utilizing our course and the tools that we have available, has been able to get over the hump of passing this thing and moving on with his life and working towards becoming a professional engineer. So it's an exciting thing to do. I'm super pumped for him, but I just wanted to bring him on and talk about his own journey. And I think you're really going to enjoy it. It's going to be coming up right after this. All right, Sean, thanks for jumping on with me. I'm excited to chat with you about your experience with our courses. So thanks for doing this.
Yes, sir.
Sean, before we kind of dive into things, could you tell us maybe a little bit about what you do for a living right now?
Yeah, I'm working as an engineer in the Metro Atlanta / Athens, Georgia area.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. And are you doing transportation? What's kind of the division you're doing?
I'm a water resources guy, but I'm also construction management, resident project representative. So I sit on job sites from time to time and monitor contractors' progress and approve pay apps and monthly progress meetings. But I do design work as well. So
awesome.
I do some CAD work and
a little bit
of this, a little bit of that. Yes, sir.
Jack of all trades. I like it. Why don't you describe for us maybe your own journey in taking the FE and kind of where you're sitting with the PE? But how did you find Civil Engineering Academy? How did your journey start? Give us a little glimpse into that.
Sure. I found you guys strictly by chance. We had just gotten a smart TV, and it was the middle of summer a couple of years ago, and I had it on my books to, it was one of those things that was dogging me. I'd been out of school a couple of years, and I said, man, I've got to get this passed. And my wife's like, are you ever going to take the FE? And so I was watching some YouTube videos on the new TV that we had just installed, and there was I think she's from Quebec or something. She was French Canadian. I can't think of what engineer or something like that. I think it was what it was. Anyway, I was watching one of her videos, and she was talking about the new test format where they had eliminated the statistics and kind of married that with the mathematics. And the next video that kind of popped up, that suggested feed, it was one of your videos where you were talking about Civil Engineering Academy, and I was like, man. So anyway, I watched a couple of your videos that you had up there, and I went to your website, and I don't know, a couple of weeks later, my wife and I, she's like, you going to take that FE? And I said, yeah, I am. And I think I found a course. And so anyway, we signed up for your, I think I bought a year-long access because we were trying to get some things done around the house, and we had a baby on the way. And I said, with everything we got going on, I think we took it a year from now. That'd give me plenty of time to study for it.
Love it.
On top of the 2 or 3 years of extra school that we did. So
anyway. Well, hopefully that eliminates some pressure too when you got access for that long. So
yeah, and I knew, you know how those things are. You got a family, and
yep.
Life just you can make all the plans in the world that you want, but kid gets sick or work interferes, and the next thing you know, you're pulling an all-nighter trying to get some documents out for a client or whatever, a number of things. Anyway, I knew exactly. a year was going to be ideal for me, and there was a smidge of procrastination and, involved. And it was just one of those things. I just didn't, I had taken it once and I didn't want to do it again. I think I took it twice. Actually, I took it twice. I took it the first time, but, I didn't even bother studying or trying. It was one of the graduation requirements. Right. So I didn't even count that one. The second time I really studied and I put 2 weeks of, a couple weekends and 2 weeks right before that, trying to prep with some prep books. But anyway, I found your course. And then I changed jobs, and that was in November, and they were going to hire me in January, and that was the deadline I put on myself. I said, I'll have my FE pass by the time I come on board with you guys. And so that was really that lit the fire in me. So I watched all your videos. I did all those problems, every single one of them. Most of them, I had an okay grasp on. I knew I wasn't going to do very well in the structural section. So I just picked that section. I said, you know what, anything structural comes along, I'm going to give it a glance, give it a guess, and then I'm going to move on. Right. And so I took the diagnostics for the exam that I kind of studied for. I was like, these are the areas I really need to brush up on. Anyway, so I took your course, took all those practice, problems that you had. And I had a couple prep books from NCES, and it was New Year's Eve. And I pulled up to the test site, sat in my car for 2 hours and studied. And awesome. I looked at, and what's funny is I looked at one of these, I think it was your surveying problem, height of instrument, backside, foresight. Mm-hmm. What are you going to come out at, at the end of the the trans, at the end of the, what do you call that? at the end of your closure, right? So anyway, I sat there and looked at that. I was like, man, that one is going to dog me. But I looked at it, and I'm not kidding you, Isaac. I walked in there, and one of the last problems on that exam that I took, it was almost to the number. That problem was on there, and I don't, this is a disclaimer for all your folks that are watching or listening. That did, I don't know if that was chance or what, but it showed up on mine. And anyway, I walked out of there and I was like, oh man, that was the first time that actually felt, halfway decent. Right. And
good.
I drove home, and then I worked all weekend and didn't give another minute's thought. And then Monday rolled around, and I started working the new job. And then my new boss, he texted me and he said, hey man, I forgot to ask, did you get your FE? I said, I took it last Friday. I'll have you an answer on Wednesday. And that 10 o'clock, 10:30 when they released the scores, it clicked off. And man, my wife came, and it was almost lunchtime. She's like, "You check your FE score yet?" And I said, "No, I didn't check it. I'm kind of afraid to." And she said, "Just check it and get it over with." And man, I did. And the first thing I did, I said I passed, and then I emailed you and your brother, and man, I'm telling you, that was the best feeling in the world.
I remember that. I love that. We love hearing those success stories. So that's great. So I guess I want to ask, like, what structure did you have with the course? What was your studies like? Because it sounds like you took the test a few times.
Yep.
So what was your study like before, and then what was it like after, as you were going through the course? How did that help you?
Before, it was 2 weeks, 2 weeks out, open up a book and, start working some problems. Right. But I knew I had that job, and I gave myself that deadline. So as opposed to 2 weeks, I gave myself 2 months. And whenever I got the kids in the bed, whenever I got a free minute, I'm sitting at work on my lunch break. I was working a few problems, and I printed out every single problem you had, and just printed out the problems, and I had the solutions that I could refer to. But definitely need 2 months of prep time on that FE.
Good.
But it was like I said, it was late at night, early in the morning. Whenever I could scratch out a few minutes, that's when I was doing it.
Love it. Can you name something that you enjoyed about the Ultimate Civil FE Review course?
I'll tell you. So, what was there was a gentleman who worked a lot of the mathematics problems, but there was.
We have Jason that contributes.
Yes,
we have Cody.
Jason.
We have Mark and me. Yep.
Yeah, Jason was. He was short, sweet, and to the point, man. He's like. He would show it. He would show his work, but he wouldn't explain how he would skip a line, right? And he'd go, all right, so we got this and this, and then he'd draw something out, and he wouldn't say anything about that, and then he would go, all right, so here's where we are. I thought that was hilarious. I always liked watching his videos. But there was one. It was somebody's triangle where you. Oh man, if I still had that access to that course, I could point you to the problem. It had to do with factors, or it was something to do with algebra, and I had never seen that in my life. And when you worked that, I can't remember who worked that problem, but I was watching that one at work on my lunch break, and I got up and I walked outside and I texted about 6 of my classmates. I said, "Have you ever heard of this?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, man, I did that." And because when I went to school, we went to school at night, and it was it was a mixture. It was old folk, and it was kids who did college semester at school and party too hard or whatever. So then now they were at night at school and working during the day. So it was a bunch of work goes at night and getting civil engineering degrees. But I texted all of it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, man, I saw that and algebra or whatever when I was up at so and so." And I have never heard of this, never seen it. And then I went and looked up a bunch of problems, and so I finally understood it. I never saw a problem like that on the exam, but it was good practice and good to have.
That's good. So we challenged you in areas that you maybe hadn't seen before.
Absolutely. And I had a decent structures instructor, but the method of sections, you guys explained that a whole lot better, and I was able to understand that as far as statics go.
Love it. Yeah. So it sounds like you did some research. You researched.
Oh yeah, I shopped around. Yeah, shopped around.
I mean, what made ours stand out from others options that were out there?
Like I said, I found you. It was serendipitous that you showed up in that feed, I guess. But you guys were value priced, and it was for a year long access. It made the most sense. And it was total, it was complete access or 24-hour access. I could email you guys on through Facebook Messenger or whatever, and you guys were always prompt to respond the next day or so. It just made sense for me. I knew it was going to take me, 9 months of piddling around with it, and then 3 months of buckling down. So anyway, it was the price point for me.
I love it.
So that's what sold us.
Okay, I like it. Well, it sounds like you've given some great tips about study time, about how long it took you to prepare for the exam. It sounds like 2 to 3 months is probably a fair amount. And how many hours do you think you were doing a day?
I would get up early. I had an hour. Oh, that was the other thing. So I had an hour and a half commute, or hour 15 commute, somewhere in that neighborhood, depending on traffic.
Wow.
So I would get up in the morning.
Plus family, plus kids.
Right. I'd get up in the morning, I'd shower, get dressed, I'd work a few problems here, and then I would go out and hop in the car, and I would turn on one of your lessons and have it just play via the Bluetooth. And so I would just listen to a lesson on the way to work and on the way back. So you solid studying, working problems. I was, I think it's like you said, I was trying to get somewhere between 15 and 20 hours a week. Some weeks it wasn't like that, but that was what I was shooting for. And I had access to Microsoft Schedule through work. So I made this schedule, what I needed to have achieved by the end of the week. And I tried to stick to that. And I think that's what helped. And I always said, I knew structures was not going to be a strong suit for me. So I gave myself 2 days on that one.
So I want to dive in just a little bit. So you, as a repeat taker, were you discouraged in taking the exam again? And how did you get over that?
Well, that new job is what motivated me. My former employer got purchased by a larger firm, and I went out looking. They cut, the benefits weren't great, and the benefits that we had were good. They were outstanding, probably the best I've seen in the industry. But the new owner, it wasn't. The benefits weren't there, and that was what kept us there, right? And so the new job, and them saying, "Well, we'd really like you to have your EIT EIT license or EIT certification or whatever." So that's what it did, and that was the motivator. But I was certain I was going to be the drafter with a civil engineering degree for the rest of my career. It was either that and driving Uber on the weekends. I was like, man, I just didn't want to take it again.
Yeah.
after I took it that second time, and it didn't go well. And they don't give you a score. They just say, oh, here's where you missed the most questions or whatever,
Right.
and here's how many students did better than you, or whatever it was that they said. Anyway, I was like, man, I just don't want to do it. I don't want to give them any more money, and I don't want to do it again. And anyway, yeah, so it's easy. It's easy to beat yourself up and get down. As a multiple test taker, but you gotta power through that. And I know several people who are on their third or fourth try, and
Sure.
when they told me they had done it, I was like, look, I've got the answer for you. Civil engineering guy. And I'm not making a commercial for you, but I'm telling you, man, if it hadn't been for you guys, like I said, I'd be driving Uber tonight.
Oh, I love it. Well, we like hearing, that, and I love to hear your mindset as to where you were. And, if you were to talk to somebody else that's taken it 3, 4, 5 times, it sounds like you've got some good advice for them too. And now that you've been there before, what that feels like, and you could relate to them. So
absolutely.
I'm glad to hear that. And I hope that, as you took the course, there was some motivation there, that we encourage you to keep it going. And what I have really tried to do is create a safe space for people, to talk about their failures and not feel like, we're going to beat you up over anything, because you're not, you're still a good engineer, even though you've failed this exam a few times.
Right.
So,
right.
It's just part of the process, and you got to learn how NCES does stuff. So, hopefully, you found some support through that as well.
Absolutely. So. And the way you guys have it broken up into modules, that was very helpful. So, rather than just, here's a whole bunch of questions, you figure it out. It was, you got mathematics and tons of math problems, right? You worked out tons of examples, and then you got tons of problems. And then it was statics, and then it was dynamics, and then it was geotech, and then it was structures and transportation. Man, I tell you, that's another thing. I figured out more. I took a 15-week transportation course, and I learned more in that module you guys taught on solving those problems than I did in that whole 15. And it's not a knock against the school. It's not a knock against the teacher. But again, it's a mindset and one to learn. But
there you go. Well, I love it. Well, did the course help you prepare for the exam being CBT in any way, or do you have any tips around that? I'm just curious what your mindset was around that, and if we were able to help you prepare for a CBT type exam.
Oh yeah. Like I said, that one surveying problem just popped up, and I'm like, I saw that one a couple hours ago. If you, I'll tell you what I did wrong the day of the exam. So you get that first 52 or 55 questions, whatever it is. You get those first 50 done, and then they give you that 30-minute or 20-minute break, whatever it is. And I walked out in the hall and drank this big bottle of water, and and I went in and took the other half, man, and I was like, oh man, I shouldn't have had that bottle of water, And I left 20 minutes sitting on the table, and I could have called back and check some questions. I was like, I got to get out of here. So don't hydrate there in the middle, or don't hydrate as much as I did, I guess, is my
good tip.
My tip and trick for everybody.
I like it. Good tip. I guess one of the other questions I have is, a lot of people are concerned about like alternative item type questions. And in our course, we do provide kind of a CBT exam that's given there. But I'm just curious what your thoughts are on alternative item types, or if you feel like the majority of the exam was still multiple choice and not to worry about that too much.
Don't worry about it. Just you look at it. I think you guys said in one of those modules, you're like, look at it. If you feel like it's one of the, I watched so many videos. There's no telling, right? But somebody said, look at a problem, and if it looks like one you can solve, then buckle down. But keep track of your time, right? And then you got to figure you need just as much time for the afternoon as you do for the morning part, or the first part. So kind of time and go, all right, man, I got what is it, 6 hours or something like that? I got 3 hours to do these first 55, and you start watching, and that they say those sands from the hourglass, those things were flying through. And there's no way I spent 3 hours on that first 55. But watch the time and look at those alternative items. If it looks like it's something that, it's one of those where it's circle zero force members, or calculate the force and of the soil or whatever. If it's one that do it. If it's not, circle something or write something down, or write it down to check and move on. That's my advice. I think I had 2 of those. I don't think I had very many of those at all. But I guess every week the test is different, or every day the test is different. I don't know.
Yeah, I know they can mix it up. So that's good advice to hear. So, well, is there anything else you'd like to share tips wise on preparing for the FE, and then give us a glimpse where you're at with the PE, because you continued your studies. Not only were you a member of the Ultimate Civil FE review course, but it sounds like you've dived into the Ultimate Civil PE review course, and you're getting prepared for that as well. So we're excited for that. And I know you had success with the FE, and you're all booked up and ready to go for the PE coming up this summer. So, any other tips or advice for anybody?
Now's the time to take it, right? The FE. I took it and I had to wear that mask for 6 hours, and I'm telling you, take it now, because go somewhere where you don't have to wear a mask if you don't want to. The mask is your choice, but I'm telling you, I had one of those masks with the rubber band and the little metal clip, and my glasses would fog up, and then my ears were so sore from that rubber band. That was and you didn't figure that out till the next day. And you had that rubber band impression on the back of your head for the next week. But take it now if you feel like you're ready. But during that pandemic, that was another thing. And I don't know if it was good or bad, but you could boot that down the road at zero cost. There was no reschedule fee. So, if you were 2 or 3 days out, you're like, oh man, I'm just not feeling this. I don't think I'm going to pass. You can boot it down the road and reschedule for another 3 weeks or whatever. And I didn't exploit that. I think I did reschedule one time, but anyway, take it now now that we don't have the masks as stringent as you have to do. That would be my last piece of advice.
I got one other question for you. How long out of school have you been, in preparing for this FE exam? Like, has it been a few years, or like?
Yeah. I finished it. I got a weird story. I went back to school. I got an undergrad and another major. I worked as a contractor for a long time, and then I went to work in higher ed. And higher ed is how I got into the civil engineering program. I was recruiting for that night program. And anyway, so I finished my second degree in 2018, and I passed that FE on December 31, 2020. Yeah. So I've been out of school. What's that? 2.5 years, I think. So May 2018 to December 31.
Like it.
Something like that.
Well, you can do it if you've been out of school for a while. If you're a repeat taker, if you're interested in getting a little more help, definitely go check us out at Civil Engineering Academy. You'll find all of our courses that we've got laid out there. And even if you don't want a course, we got practice problems on our YouTube channel, as well as practice exams that are available to you. So come check us out at civilengineeringacademy.com.
And your Facebook, your Facebook community that you have there, where everybody can hop in and ask a FE question or a PE question. Those folks everybody's there to help you.
Yep. You can join our free community at CEAcommunity.com. It'll point you over to our free Facebook community. You're welcome to join that. And that's just free to people. So if you want to, jump on, ask questions, we'll be there to support you too. I do feel like kind of the private communities that we set up are definitely maybe a little more engaging, and people are quick to jump on to answer those questions, maybe a little faster for you. But, we're here to help you in any way that we can. So, Sean, thanks for jumping on and sharing your tips with us.
Yes. And you have the PE. So I course. I was going to do another by the month, or maybe even another 3 month stint. But so I can get that PE behind me in August.
Can't wait. Stay in
Same
touch.
thing.
Let me know
Same
how
thing.
it goes.
Will do. Will do.
All right. Thanks, Sean. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Have a great evening. Yep. Thanks.
Bye.
Nice talking to you. Bye.
See ya.